This tent and this tent manufacturing company, crucially, has turned on its head what I thought I knew about Chinese tent manufacturing. Believe it or not, in here is a spacious two-man tent weighing only 1.1 kilos. So let's find out what's special about this and what the compromises are. So why has this tent changed my ideas about Chinese tent manufacturing? Well, for a start, it's not about the quality or the working conditions. Nortent have shown that with their own manufacturing in China, with great working conditions and producing really high quality goods. And that's not an issue. We have all used and or seen tents of Chinese origin, but this company is the complete package. Now let's start to have a little look at the components themselves. And don't worry, at home later I'm going to show you some of the measurements. Now there's a tube of seam sealant. I think you know what that means, in that it's double-sided, double-coated sil nylon, and so the limited amount of seams that there are going to have to be seam sealed. There's matching repair material in here should it be required, and a rather smart looking copper coloured repair pole. Now I've never seen anything like this before. These are carbon fibre pegs and super light. I think they're only 5 grams each, and they're branded TFS. And then there's some VDAC. There's one 8.7mm pole that's DAC Featherlight NFL. I love this copper colour. This is a PU coated footprint available to purchase separately. I think it's $30. Now, I say dollars, the costs from Campalists are UK pounds and include any import costs, VAT. So what you see on the site is what you pay, and this tent is £339, and it's around 25 to 30 pounds for the footprint. Bear with me, I want to show you with this tent every single detail, because on a YouTube video you always won't get that impression, and this is super quality. Now, to pitch it all in one, you have to attach the footprint to the guy between the inner and outer via this lark's foot clip. Now this is really different. I hope you can see that okay. The loops for the pegs are bar tacked, so it helps to make that a really kind of minimalist, sleek design. Loads of fantastic, clever features. The tent designer is Mr. Wang Zhigang. He is super experienced, served his apprenticeship as a tent designer, working with many big manufacturers, and his application to detail absolutely shows up in this tent. If you were pitching this tent in the wind, it'd be a case of pegging out the base on all 4 corners, getting it nice and flat, and then think about sliding the pole in whilst getting the pole's guys ready. Now, when I've shown you some of the benefits of this tent, I'm going to bring you back to some of the compromises. If you can call it a compromise, you are going to need trekking poles. Now, that doesn't worry me, because I always carry one anyway. Do you like the new hat? It's actually a running hat, but I saw somebody with it and I thought it looked like a mountain or a tent, the logo, so I thought I've got to have one of those. I know it doesn't look great, but hey, I like it. Honey doesn't care, do you? Summer's great, isn't it? You can start to lie on some dry grass and just relax a little bit. We're supposed to be making a video, honey, pitching a tent, and what should we be doing instead? Lying around in the grass, scratching you. Is that what we should be doing? Hey, or making a video? You look, people are waiting and watching. You tell them there. Tell them. Look in there. You tell them. No, there's no enemies. It's all right. Factory fresh tied guy lines. Lovely. And I want to thank Camperlists for sending me this tent. Opinions, however, remain my own. Now, on this tent, there's been absolutely no compromises in material. And to prove it, go and look at this link here and then come back to me. For instance, this is a UHP, ultra high molecular polymer weight or Dyneema style reinforced sleeve, and it's double siliconized inside, and I can't tell you how pleasant that is to slide in there. It's just lovely. Now, I wouldn't do it too fast, but it's so snag free. It's unbelievable. That's gorgeous how that slides in there. Now, the zip here is a Japanese made YKK waterproof zip. Now, there were similar Chinese made YKK zips available, but Mr. Zhigang at TFS said, I'm sorry, they're just not good enough. His pursuit of quality and excellence of materials means that he sources his materials from anywhere in the world. So from the USA, from Korea, and at home in China. So this clip for the pole is pretty nice, made by DAC. I believe it's called a Jake's Foot style. I know that kind of such a badge is very important in Chinese culture because it symbolizes trust and quality. So the trekking pole just goes through this loop here, and there's an adjuster at the top here. So from that part assembled point, just a case of getting your trekking pole on next, and to give yourself a bit of ventilation adjustment, you can kind of choose somewhat how high you have that up. Nine pegs. That's a nice pitch. There's a bit of a breeze blowing through, just going around 15 miles an hour coming through, but this is a big tent and it's not got an enormous amount of guy out points, but that's sitting there really nicely. Some useful guy out points here, so let's pop a couple of those on. Now, this tent has got a 4-season inner. For me, at the moment, it's in the 3-season category, but given the right conditions, you could push the envelope of this tent to winter. Now, get ready to see a lot more of this tent and other tents by TFS, because Camperlists have become the importer, and previously it was only possible to directly import the tent from China yourself, but now they're much easier to buy. With the door, this brings me on to one of the first compromises. There isn't an easy way of rolling this up and holding it there like we're used to. So instead, what you have to do is, using this toggle, either attach it to this toggle here inside the door, so it just kind of flops around down there, or you can see on the spine of the inner tent a toggle there. Now that's the door open, it's going to stay out the way. It's a little bit awkward to get to that, but when you're in the inner tent, I guess you can reach around to that fairly easily. However, any vertical rain is going to come straight onto your inner tent. So I think what I'm going to be doing most of the time is, especially if it's cold, breezy or windy, just peg that to that point there and just have the door pegged open like that, and that will make a nice space for cooking. Now, another compromise is the fact that there's only a one-way zip there, but these compromises are going to exist inevitably with a tent that's spacious and only just over 1 kilo. And with any tent you have to accept that compromise between robustness, price and features, and this tent has been finely tuned to make sure that the essential robust weatherproof features are there whilst keeping it minimalist and lightweight, and that's going to appeal to a lot of users. The vestibule inside is what? This is a 15 centimeter peg, about 25 centimeters, so just under a foot across there, so you could put your pack and boots, and of course there is exactly the same the other side. Right, my friends, in we go. So there's a nice big double J-zip, just roll that back. There's a single toggle here. The design is such that that'll definitely keep the door up. Now this mesh inside is called monofiller. It's I think it's imported from Korea, and it's almost like a solid material, but is said to be super breathable and highly wind resistant. So don't think this is going to be a super drafty tent, because with this material apparently it'll breathe but without letting in too much breeze. If I just blow on that, a little bit of air comes through but not a lot, and that'll kind of be highly breathable. And it's the same monofiller material at the vents at the end here. That allows you access to a little bit of storage through there, and of course you can access the outside vent. There's a 30-litre Osprey in this vestibule. Now we can start to see this truly cavernous inner. Let's get a little bit of gear inside and a mat. Now this mat is also new to the market, but I'm busy testing it. Not allowed to talk about it yet. Good mat though. Absolutely love this Flextail Pump 3. Great, right, I've previously measured this tent and I found the manufacturer's measurements of being 95 high by 130 wide to be accurate. They've measured it a generous 240 long. I found it to be 235, but suffice to say that this is massive, and there's plenty of room for 2 full-size mats in here. That's large 60 centimeter by 2 meter mats, and with the mat pushed up against that end, there's all that space at the bottom, and for me that's important for one thing: space for the dog at the bottom. Essential, isn't it, honey? And that'll be lovely for her bed down there. I can lie on here, she'll have plenty of space, even 2 up. Now internal features wise, there's a pocket each side, not a lot, and of course that same vestibule at each end, but you know, that's all you need really for backpacking. Cooking in here in bad weather, there's not a massive amount of space for, but if you're careful, a single canister stove or a remote burner is going to work there, absolutely no problem. And you've got the choice of unclipping the inner. There's enough flexibility just about to take this clip back to here, and that puts that on quite a lot of tension, but pulls the inner back quite a lot. But for cooking, it gives you a little bit more space, but probably not ideal. I'll just clip that back up. Better still would be just to tuck the inner back, and there's plenty of space there. I mean, that's a size 11 Scarpa shoe. Loads of space there. That's just with my rucksack resting against it. I would have space there, but I do that just for safety, just to push the inner tent back. So the other thing that's a little bit of a compromise, I would have liked to have seen the footprint a diamond shape instead of a rectangle shape, so it would go all the way across to here. If you're going to carry a footprint, then you know, you accept that you would have a little bit of extra weight for the features of that. So I'd really like to see that going across to there. It's important to me. There's lightweight pitch guys going across here that you can kind of clip off, but you'd really want to keep those on. And then another way of creating more space around this area for cooking is to just unclip the foot of the inner and push that back. And with you having the trekking pole area there, once you've pushed that back, you'd have a really large space for cooking, and you could open the door there at the end, the mini door, and really nice safe space for cooking there. Let's just try that with the door down. Yeah, I like that. That's a vast area, really easy to do as well. So I've got a bit of air flowing through there. That would be dry from any rain, and I've got a really big sort of safe area here. And then when I've finished, very quick to just pop that on. But it's a lovely place to be in here. Now for the drink test, I'm 6'1". That's me sat upright in the center on the mat, and this is a thick 11 centimeter thick mat. My head's just about touching if I put myself bolt upright, but you know, I don't sit like that. And then I can still easily drink and cook through the door yet. Yeah, it's snug in parts, but spacious where it matters. Now keep an eye out as well, because this tent is available in a 10D polyester as well, and that won't absorb water. And importantly, Camperlist are going to be making available the Enran 1 and Enran 2, which this is, and get this, it's the same outer tent, and you can have a choice of 1 person or 2 person inners. So you can buy one tent and then an extra inner, and have the choice of having a 1 person super spacious tent, or a 2 person tent that's got plenty of space in the inner but compromised in the vestibule space. So you could potentially save an enormous amount of money that way by having kind of a really versatile setup. Okay, well, I hope you've enjoyed this first look at the Free Spirits Enran 2. Definitely have a look at the TFS videos. They're really informative, all from how he founded the company, the struggles he took as an independent tent manufacturer, and as a small business owner myself, I can definitely relate to some of the struggles. What happens after redundancy, rebuilding a new company in your own vision, and I've definitely been through that, and I can relate to that. The name TFS is meaningful as well. It refers to a standout climb. I think it was 2009. It was a cutting-edge alpine route done by a Chinese team that I know Wang held in high esteem. So I think it helps enormously to get a little bit of the story behind the designer and behind the company. I've definitely enjoyed getting to know the guys from Nortent, and it gives you a connection, and it's not just a bit of nylon and aluminium, it's a story. And I think tents are all about that. They're not just a piece of material, it's about writing your own story within it, and also it's about, in many ways, making a connection with the manufacturers who is equally as passionate about camping and wild camping as you are. So I'm going to pop this down. I can't stay out tonight, busy family weekend, but I'm in the lakes the week after next, hoping to do some bike packing then, and definitely will be using this. So make sure you like the video, don't forget to subscribe to catch more of this tent. So thanks very much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this, and keep an eye out for more use of the TFS Enran 1.